Welcome tonight to our first our rollout of the Apex Institute by Speed Mechanics, Victoria's premier school for elite athletes. We're excited to bring this out. So we've got, this is our just a snapshot of our own facility here at Speed Mechanics. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what Apex Institute is. This is an opportunity for athletes to train like an Olympian, to train like a national team athlete, and to learn and work with elite coaches who have worked at the international, national, and collegiate levels. It's also a place to come and complete and receive your academic credits, which Bill will be speaking about a little bit later. And then I've had questions already about what does Apex actually stand for, and we've come up with, these are the 4 pillars of learning. So we include academic, physical, electives, and our experiential. So what we are offering is the ability to come in and combine your training as well as your classroom time. So this gives the opportunity for athletes to do everything that they need to do during the day to better themselves as an athlete, to leave the evening time for their practice schedule or their busy practice schedule. So that allows them to develop their skills after school in their sport, while during school time still maintaining their high education level, as well as incorporating training into that education component. So provided there's enough numbers, we've broken this down into 2 cohorts, a morning cohort and an afternoon cohort. Cohort 1 and cohort 2 will be the same. They're going to be doing the same sorts of things. It's just going to be split up as morning and afternoon. So during the morning cohort, it will be broken in half. So one group will be doing their training block while the other is in their classroom time. We've broken this down. It's 5 days a week. So Monday and Thursday, we've broken down into our speed days, and Tuesday, Friday, our strength days, while Wednesday, we're going to leave as a free movement day. So what this means is, for the speed sessions, we're going to be working on acceleration mechanics, top velocity mechanics. We're going to work on positions and postures that are important for our athletic development on field, but we're also going to be working on change of direction, agility, and how to transfer our linear speed to our change of direction ability. For our strength room sessions on Tuesday and Friday, this is where we're going to develop specific strength training sessions or strength training programs, for the athletes based on their sport, position, and needs, based on what we do in our testing blocks. The free movement day is kind of it's a chance for the athletes to explore movement and do things that they don't normally or necessarily get to do in their own sport. So this is where we're going to do things like tumbling, rolling, gymnastics, different combat sort of movements and grappling, particularly as COVID restrictions lift. So the grappling and close quarter stuff isn't going to happen in the immediate sense, but as restrictions lift and things kind of open up a little bit, that's an area that we want to explore as well. But basically, it gives the athletes a chance to explore their bodies and learn how to move in different ways outside of their sports. In the classroom sessions, we're looking at 90-minute learning blocks while the training sessions are occurring. So during these 90-minute blocks, and again, Bill will speak to this in a little bit more detail in a bit, the student athletes will have the ability to complete their online coursework, or use this as a study block, or work on their electives. So part of the PACE program will allow the athlete to kind of create with Bill, create a class project or an independent learning project based off of their training, which again, Bill will speak to in a bit. We'll have our sports science technology there as well that the athletes will have access to. So some of this will be used for testing such as our force plates, our push bands, which allows us to track jumping as well as barbell velocity. So with these, we will implement them within their training plans, the push bands. We'll be implementing that into their training plan. So they'll have the ability to use these to track their load and training. We'll be able to use these as well to create training plans based off of how fast they move things. So rather than simply chasing load, the athletes will be able to sort of chase speed instead, which is a little bit more of an accurate metric without having to load the athletes so much. We can chase speed instead. And then again, using this sort of sports science technology, this is something that we can use to create those elective credits and create a course through the PACE program to allow the athlete to not only get some interesting metrics for their sport, but also start to understand sort of how the body is working within their sport. We also have a mental performance coach, Zoran Stoykovic. His business is Kizo Performance. So Zoran will come in. He's a mental performance coach or consultant with Pacific FC currently. He's worked with a number of other high performance athletes and other high performing teams as well. So he's going to come in and work with the athletes either on a weekly or semi-weekly basis based off of sort of what he sees, but he'll come in and start to develop a mental performance plan for the athletes that we can supplement into their strength training programs to kind of build that sort of holistic model for the athletes. So the mental game is hugely important for athletes and often overlooked. So this is a major component that I think is going to be extremely beneficial for the athletes. We're also going to have other guest lecturers and coaches and practitioners from the city and outside come in and present during some of the classroom or some of the training sessions, depending when we can get them in, of course. So I want to speak a little bit to our training philosophy. Those that have trained with us before have a pretty good understanding, but those that are new, our goal is to build robust athletes with a broad foundation of skills and experiences. We want to build a huge foundation for these athletes, creating stronger, faster, better developed athletes, but that starts with a big foundation first and builds toward the peak of the pyramid or the apex of the pyramid. As athletes develop, their training plans are going to become increasingly specific or more specific towards their sport as well as positional needs. And these training programs are going to match their experiences and skills. So as they become more competent in the weight room and on field, we're going to increase the complexity of their training plan to make sure that they're continuing to be challenged and move towards that elite level that they're looking to achieve. We believe that education is a foundational component to this development. So it's not just in the weight room, but also in the classroom that the athletes have to learn and understand the development of the process. So we want to make sure that they're building the foundational movement skills, but also that deeper understanding of why they're doing what they're doing and how they can do this better and how that's going to transfer or translate onto field, track, court, whatever their sport may be. A little bit of background on myself and the other coaches. I did my master's of exercise science and strength and conditioning at Edith Cowan University in Australia, registered strength and conditioning coach, one of only 5 in BC and 3 on the island. I did my short sprints coach accreditation through Altus, which was formerly the World Track and Field Center in Arizona. Number of other NCCP courses, including sprints, cycling, and weightlifting. I was also fortunate enough to race nationally and internationally in track cycling and speed skating. I've been very fortunate with the athletes that I've had access to and have been able to work with from U Sports national and conference champions to CFL, NFL combine draft picks, national and conference MVPs, world champion track cyclists, international medalists in ice dancing, figure skating, and a variety of other sports. Our co-performance director, who's not able to be on this call tonight, Rob Hooper, excuse me, he's coaching tonight, so he's on the floor currently, but has also completed his master's in exercise science at Edith Cowan. Excuse me one sec. He's got a number of other accreditations to his name, including Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, USA Weightlifting, and his Exos Performance Specialist. Rob worked with our women's national team for field hockey as the head strength and conditioning coach, and was the lead for the IST, which is Integrated Support Team. So he was the lead coordinating the therapist, the medical team, the athletic therapists, and the strength and conditioning coaches for the women's national team. They won a Pan Am silver medal in 2019. He was also the head strength coach for the men's national team, as well as a variety of other national teams here in Canada. So from here, I'm going to pass it on to Bill before we get into the academic side of things. So pass it off to you, Bill.
Okay. Hey, thanks very much, Kyle. Man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped about this whole thing. This is really exciting. I had the opportunity to meet Kyle. I've known Anthony for a while now, but you folks that are out there, if you're not working with these folks, look out. I mean, you gotta get it. You gotta get involved. And so many things you just said, Kyle, really resonate with me and my experience. There's a number of things I've done. I'm a school principal. I retired as a school principal, and the stuff I'm going to talk to you about is coming when I'm speaking to you folks about this stuff. And I'll show you some slides. I'm talking to you as a school principal, but I'm also talking to you as a coach of any sport, right? Because that student athlete thing's important. I'm also really talking to you as a parent, because I know what it's like as a parent to have to go through and try to sort out all the things that we need to do to help our kid. And if you've got more than one of those little guys or gals, then that just adds exponentially to the challenges you've got. And so I'm going to go through a few slides there, but just to tell you as well, I've been very fortunate in my life to be involved with sport. I got down to the University of Hawaii, chased my dream down there, and the biggest message I've got is to all you athletes and parents out there, go for it. Like, absolutely go for it. You've got an opportunity now with Kyle and Speed Mechanics and the Apex program to really, really get into the specific stuff that you need to do. And one of the jobs I do for fun is I work with athletes on this whole college recruiting process. I work as someone who knows that process from the eyes through a parent, through a coach, through an athlete. I've been very fortunate. I always say, I'm Bill Green, I'm Taylor Green's son. And my son went through the process like many of you are going through, and he had a dream of playing baseball at the highest level, at Major League Baseball. Well, lo and behold, he made it. And he didn't have the kind of expert training that Kyle and crew are offering here. So, man, oh man, this is an opportunity. So I'm really charged up to have the opportunity to speak with you folks about the academic side. One of the things we're talking about now, and I'll flip on some slides here, but with the COVID and most schools are in some sort of quarter model or 5-week model or something, but it's not regular semesters in most schools. And that varies a lot throughout the province. I've worked with thousands of kids on this whole process, but we're just in a real special time right now. And you student athletes out there have had an opportunity to get a taste of that online world, what it's like to do courses via computer and so on. And it's different, and it offers some challenges that you wouldn't normally find in a class, but it also offers some fantastic opportunities for you if you can grab a hold of them. And that's what we want to do today is show you how the Apex program can help you manage that time and really work on that self-discipline. Those are muscles you've got to work on, because if you're going to wanting to go to the college or university level to play your sport, you better believe it. That self-discipline and time management are huge. So what we're looking at is just sort of a little bit of a pilot for quarter 4, which most of you are on quarter 4, usually starts middle of April, April 19th or something, depending on the school. But this could be, I think this would be an absolutely phenomenal time for you to dip your toe in the water and say, hey, man, let's give this a shot, because the year's basically done. So let's maximize the use of our time. So I'm speaking to you from a bunch of hats. I'm gonna share the screen here with a few little slides, and so just bear with me as I do that. There we go. I think you can see that. So why? I think I've explained. I think Kyle's explained it. There's a lot of reasons why we want to do this. And okay, here's what I've found, and this is something, and this is over a decade of working with student athletes of every sport, right? As a person that helps you plan your lives. But if you're playing a high level of sport in British Columbia, you've got a great opportunity of taking your game to the next level. And I mean the college or university, it might be international, it might be national, it might be professional. But I'm telling you, that's because we have such great programs here in British Columbia. And that's a credit to all your coaches. And this program, the Apex program, is just going to add to that. So the priority has to be becoming the best student, athlete, and person you can be. Those are the 3 essential ingredients that, if you're talking about college recruiters, that's what they are looking for. And the better you are in each one of those, the greater your opportunity. So this is what we're trying to do, is create more opportunity for you guys. But it's hard to create opportunity when you've got this staring you in the face, the lack of time. And I want to add something here. COVID has been a real challenge in terms of academics. But I'm in the student athletes that I'm working with, I'm going to venture to say that during this last several months as student athletes, you have had more time on your hands than you have ever had before, because your teams are not practicing, you're not competing with the same amount of time as you had before. And so the time thing is something that we really want to work on and help you manage that. But things are going to change. And what's going to happen is life is going to get back to full speed here before too long. And what's essential for student athletes is to know how to manage their time. And that's one of the things we really want to work on. So one of the other challenges, of course, parents, is money. I mean, it's, everything costs more all the time. And what about the energy that you spend? What about the type of energy that parents, you're spending on lives like this, right? That's what our lives have been like. It's crazy. And we want to make it simpler for you. But here's some other stuff, student athletes, that enters into things that make a huge difference in your performance. Let's just talk about sleep, right? And is sleep affected by your phones? Absolutely. We got to come to grips with those sort of things. And that's some stuff that I can help you with. So, but what ends up happening is there's dear old dad or mom usually driving kids from one place to the other, going from one event to the other. Now you've got time. You've got an opportunity with Apex to say, look, we're going to do a lot of it under one roof. We can do all of those foundational movement skills. We can do those speed and agility type things. We can do all that stuff under the speed mechanics roof. Plus, we can add the education component to it. So as you move through, those numbers are grade 7 and 8, grade 9 and 10, grade 11 and 12. The pressure increases. And for those of you in here that are in grade 12 right now, grade 11, you can feel that pressure. So that's where I work with student athletes, saying, how do we, as Bonnie Henry would say, how do we bend the curve? How do we reduce that pressure over time? So that's one of the things that we're really aiming to do by providing you with a really holistic program, as Kyle mentioned. So instead of feeling like this, oh my God, I can't do it, it's like, yes, we got to do it. We've got ways to do it. So let me tell you about the education component that we're proposing. There's a PACE program. It's a program that I designed through School District 71 in Comox Valley. And it's been going now for about 9 years. And these are free courses. They cost you nothing. And the Ministry of Education basically takes it when you're done, and they've approved these courses for your graduation, no matter what school you are in. So we're thinking about something for Q4 coming up to give you some options. One of the options I think you should really look at is saying, hey, look, what happens if I did not take any of my courses at my home school right now? You would still be part of that home school, but let's say next semester you had Chemistry 11 and a spare, or Chemistry 11 and woodwork, or something like that. You could take Chemistry 11 online through NIDES, the North Island Distance Education School, for free. You could do that work while you are at Speed Mechanics. You saw when Kyle put up the chart there that there's an opportunity for you to work on your online courses. You have a teacher affiliated with that course, just like it if you've ever taken an online course, and I can help you with specific questions about that. But within NIDES, North Island Distance Education School, I developed the PACE education for athletes, Performance Athletes Custom Education. Let's customize education for you. And really the message, I think that the loudest and clearest and simplest and easiest and best way is for you to replace some of the courses that are mandatory for you to graduate. Career Life Education, CLE, Career Life Connections, Capstone. You student athletes will know about those. There's a PACE version of those that is slanted towards the needs of athletes. So they're way more motivational. They're not harder. They're better because they're hitting into the juice that you live for, right? There's the one called, you all need an applied skills course, or applied design skills and technologies course. Well, we've got one called Digital Communications through PACE, and you make up your own recruiting web page. So the CLE, the CLC electives, they're all aiming towards how can we help you achieve your goals of playing at the highest level. So the big thing here is that you get credit for the work that you're already doing with your coaches. So there's a number of athletes that Kyle and his crew are working with, and I'm taking those kids and I've said, okay, let's design a course around that to get you credit. Now I'll move on here and I'll show you, okay? So the thing to do that I would say would be the very smartest thing to do, especially now in Q4, is take those mandatory graduation courses that you need to take. And again, there's academic courses. You could certainly take those, and I will help guide you through that process. So if you're ready for Chem 11, we can do Chem 11. But in terms of other courses as well, you need to take Career Life Education. So I'm saying there, replace it with PACE CLE Athlete. The same with the CLC Capstone, replace it with the PACE version. The Digital Communications, that's where you build your own recruiting webpage, okay? So let's take a look at what those electives would look like. So let's pretend that you're a soccer athlete and you are working with Kyle and the instructors, and you want to improve your speed and agility. So with me, we can design a course called a PACE Independent Directed Study. You can start these. Now, you student athletes out there, if you are in grade 8 right now, you can't start them yet. But on July the 1st, you become a grade 9 and you can start taking these courses, okay? You can start these courses any time of the year and you get lots of time to finish them. They are easy and they're motivational. So you're working at Speed Mechanics on improving your speed and agility. So I say to you, let's make a course up out of that will give you credits that you need in order to graduate from high school. You need 28 credits of electives. So let's build a course. And your course would be called, How Does a Soccer Player Improve Their Speed and Agility? Or how does a volleyball player improve their vertical jump? Or how does a football, but whatever you want, right? We can design a course around that for 4 credits. That what that does is it takes the pressure out of the balloon for you. Remember that little arrow I said in grade 7, 8, 9, 10, the pressure goes up and up and up? Well, if you're young and you start doing these courses earlier by taking a grade 10 independent directed study when you're in grade 9, for example, that will effectively reduce the pressure in grade 10. And then in grade 10, you take some more, and so we can add on that, and it multiplies, and it's working so well for so many athletes. So those are PACE courses. They're all under NIDES as well. But the goal here that we're trying to say is that we know the pressures that are involved with being the best student, athlete, and human being you can possibly be. And those are time and pressure and money. So what can we do to help reduce that pressure? And that's the APEX program. And the idea here, you guys, is that for you student athletes out here, this is an opportunity in your life. This is a time in your life when you have a magnificent opportunity to go for it. And what we want to do is make it fun and enjoyable and surround you with other like-minded athletes so that you can excel and be pushed. But the bottom line is it's fun. So that's what I have to say. I'm open to any questions you want to fire at me later on and so on. So I'll stop that share and go from there. Thanks, Kyle.
All right. Thanks, Bill. That was great. So I'm going to just finish off, go back to my screen here. Oops. The wrong button. 1 second here. All right. So just move on from Rob's lovely face. And we'll move on to the enrollment costs. So for phase 1 here, we're looking at $4.99 a month for the 2 months. So that's April 19th to May 19th to June 19th. Now I do recognize that school does go a little bit beyond to June 29th this year. So that's no problem to train through that time if you'd like. I do realize that that's probably exam time as well. So if you're inundated with exams and need that break, that's fine. But if you want to keep training to the 29th, that's also no problem as well. But what you're getting for that cost, 7.5 hours of coaching per week with your individualized training plan, tracking, monitoring, and a detailed performance report quarterly. So at the end of that quarter, you'll receive a printout with your with the tracking and monitoring that we've gone through. You'll also receive that mental performance coaching from Zoran, as well as some homework that I'm sure he's got stacked up ready for the kids. You'll also have 7.5 hours of classroom time per week that can be allocated to either your online courses, the study blocks, or those self-directed PACE courses where you're working with Bill and some of our coaches, both Rob and I, to work through whatever you need to in the facilities. So whether that's filming specific exercises or helping create content for your highlight reels, we can help you with that as well on site. We'll also have those guest lectures for specific training elements. That'll be on a weekly or bi-weekly basis as well. So there's a lot involved in this initial phase, but we feel like we're offering a lot to the students. We feel like this is a great opportunity for the students to, for the student athletes to really excel and take advantage of this time from the education side as well as the training side to really take their athletics to the next level. So on that, we'll take any sort of questions here. So if anybody does have questions, please just raise your hand in the at the bottom on the bottom bar there. Not new share. Stop sharing. There we go. So if anyone has any questions, please just raise your hand in here, and Bill and I will answer the best that we can. Yeah, Rob.
Yeah. Lots of questions. Just so I'm kind of slow when it comes to new stuff like this, but so with this, like Spencer's in grade 7 right now, would this replace his schooling at North Saanich Middle School, and he would not attend North Saanich and strictly do online stuff and speed mechanics stuff? Is that, am I getting that right? Or
if I can jump in there and so on. So yeah, he has a choice of taking courses online. So it would be your choice to say, we're going to do some of his courses online
Mhm.
or and so he can still be at his middle school
Okay,
for part of the day,
right,
or or he could take all of his courses, right? Or
right,
in his case, he could take none of his courses. So there's three options. You can just stay at the middle school, you could give the online, full on a try, or you
right,
could go somewhere half and half. And that's something that you and I would talk about. What would that actually look like? Right?
right. So would this be considered like a homeschooling thing or something through, well, you deal with NIDES, but we have sides down here. I guess, would that be something through sides then that we would?
I would, it's NIDES or sides, you could do it. The PACE program,
Yeah,
those athlete courses your son couldn't do those until he's actually in grade 9 and finishes grade 8.
right,
He
okay,
can't do those yet, but he could do the courses through NIDES or sides. But the PACE
okay,
program is only available through NIDES.
right. And so as far as the school board is concerned, we would be homeschooling, or how would that fit in with the ministry? I guess is the
Good question. Good question. It depends on the number of courses. So he's going into grade 7 now, is that what you said?
He's in grade 7, so
Grade
hopefully he'll
7.
get into grade 8 next year.
Yeah, yeah, and that'll
Yeah.
still be middle school, correct?
Middle school, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what will happen then is that he could become a cross-enrolled student. He could take wherever he takes more of his courses,
Mhm.
becomes his school of record or his home school. So
Okay,
if there were 5 courses and he took 3 online, then NIDES would become his school of record.
okay,
So and right now for quarter 4,
yeah,
it's happening. A student, most students are taking 2 courses right now in if it's high school, and
Mhm.
they could take both of their courses through NIDES and still stay at their home school because they've
Okay,
already taken probably 6 or 8 courses at their school.
right. And the credits that they would get through PACE would be like meet the criteria for college or high school graduation or college enrollment.
Absolutely, both, and that's a critical part of this thing. We, as
Right,
student athletes, we got to make sure that everything we're doing means something, counts for
right.
something, because there's no time to waste, and that's really important. So I'd be more than happy to chat with you,
Yeah,
online or whatever. I'll put my email on in the chat. So
yeah.
for anybody that has specific questions, please
Mhm.
don't hesitate to call me or email me. So that's in the chat right now.
Okay, great, got it.
Thanks.
All right. Good questions. So we got one question as well here in the chat. Just asking if there's a plan to do this in September as well. There is a plan to do this in September. We're looking at this as our initial rollout in phase 1. So we want to get enough interest in this phase. We want to show that this is viable and that people want this. So this is our focus right now, is on this quarter 1 right now, or quarter 4, phase 1. Numbers backwards, but good question. Our location, another question here. Our location is Van Elmen and Glanford. So we are, if you're familiar with the Red Barn on Van Elmen, we are just down the road from that, close to Copley Park, between that and Copley Park. So the exact address is 721 Van Elmen, which you can find on our website, speedmechanics.ca. Any other questions?
One more quick one, Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
From Rob again. So we're already enrolled with Speed Mechanics with the program.
Mhm.
Is this in addition to that enrollment that we're in, or would that replace the program that we're in?
It would replace the one that you're in. You'd be getting your training specifically during the day, combined with the classroom stuff.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, it would allow for more opportunity for baseball for Spencer. In the evenings.
Right. Right. Okay.
We got a couple other questions here in the chat. So, how many kids in the classroom at one time, and are they mixed age groups? So we've got if it was a maximum capacity, we'd be looking at 15 in the classroom side and 15 training in one cohort. So it'd be 30 maximal, but realistically, at this point in time, we're probably looking at no more than 10 in a classroom space. We have a big enough area where we would be separating out. So we've got classroom space, both in a specialized area, as well as movable desks to kind of work, to create movable workstations as well. So you're not confined to one area, depending on your needs. The age groups, it would be mixed age groups and mixed sports as well. So we want to make sure that our athletes, it gives the younger athletes a chance to kind of look up to and see what the older athletes are doing in their training, gives them some motivation, but also for the older athletes, it creates a leadership role for them to help out the younger athletes and kind of show them the ropes. So I think it's extremely important for them to have that sort of mixed age group. It's what we do in our space currently. We find it works very well, and everybody is working together to get better. We're not competitors in there unless we're playing games. Then we're competing, but we're all working together to get better. So, and then, is there a place for kids to do schoolwork on site? Yes. So, just speaking to that, we do have a room set up. It's our large conference room. We've got it decked out with there's lots of plugs available for USBs for their laptops. We've got TV in there for presentations, so a smart TV in there for presentations and educational purposes. We've got mobile desks as well, plenty of chairs. So there's more than one space for the student athletes to work. Is there a teacher on site? There is not currently in this phase a teacher on site. So the school district, and Bill, you can fill in a little bit more on this, but the school district wants to see that there is a need for this. And then come September, our goal is to have a teacher on site because there's enough interest for this. But this is being a pilot project. They want to see that that people are actually interested in this.
Exactly. Yeah, they just need to see there's enough students that generate a teacher or part-time teacher, and go from there. One of the things I'll just add to that, and this is beginning with the end in mind, if you have your eyes on getting a university or college athletic scholarship, right? I talk to university coaches all the time in every sport imaginable. I'll talk to any one of them. And one of the things I asked them, I said, what kills kids' opportunities? You know, what stops them? And they said, oh my God, when they get into college or university, if they don't have the self-discipline to manage their time so they get their studies done, then they don't have it, they end up dropping out. In my experience as a school principal, as a parent, as a consultant, that is essential. And where I used to just promote the PACE courses because you can get credit for the work you're doing with your coaches and your trainers, that's such a great thing. But what I'm promoting them mostly on for now is this is the way of the future. When kids go to college or university, you're going to be taking online courses, right? It's as simple as that. So this is a wonderful, perfect opportunity to really develop those self-discipline and time management skills.
Also, to circle back to that, teaching, will there be a teacher there to work with them? There will be a teacher. So if they're taking online courses, there will be a support teacher supplied by the school district, I believe, for any online course. As far as in-person supervision, yes, both myself, Rob, and Anthony will be there. All three of us have our masters in exercise science, and Anthony's is in psychology, but we have the education experience and the qualifications to be there to supervise for the school learning. So one will be coaching, and then there will be supervision for learning as well.
If I can add to that one, Kyle, with online school programs, all of the online courses, whether it, like I keep referring to chemistry, or if it's biology, or if it's math, or whatever, these online courses are developed so that the kids can work through them on their own. If they have challenges, as Kyle mentioned, there is a teacher that they contact online. Our hope is that we can get enough students involved in this program that could generate a teacher, part-time teacher, whatever, to be at Speed Mechanics right there helping the kids. Okay, but each course has its own teacher assigned who's a specialist in that area for kids to just email back and forth or phone them and get help.
Those are great questions.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Whether you want to raise your hand or, oh, we got a big one here. What would be your thought for a student in grade 8 middle school this year? I can see how it would work next year, but not sure how that would work for middle school students.
Interesting, excellent question. I taught middle school for a lot of years, and I think, okay, let me just really digest that one and see what I really think about it. The opportunity is here right now, especially in this fourth quarter, to test it out and see, right? And so when a kid gets into that situation, so do I think it's a good idea? Yes, but I would like to talk to the parent to really find out more about that student, because what we want to do is set everyone up for success. This isn't just about grabbing kids and getting them into classes. We're about having these kids achieve their goals. So I would like to speak with you individually and say, okay, what's your son or daughter like? What are they, what are the great things? What are the things they need to work on? But if we deemed that they were ready, right, for this sort of little trial, right, this would be an outstanding time to do it at the end of this year rather than the beginning of next year. I hope that helps with that. Does that make sense?
So right now we have 2 hands raised, both Mike and Rob. I got pinged that you had your hands up. I don't know if they're just still up or if you actually have questions. Let's go Mike first.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Jennifer. Mike's gone to pick up Matt from, from the gym. So, but this sounds really exciting. I did write that specific question about grade 8 because I can really see it fitting for my son for next year in grade 9, especially because they're planning. I don't know if all schools are planning, but the school he's planning to go to is going to do quarter system for the first half of the year for sure. So it'll be 1 class in the morning, 1 class in the afternoon. So you could see how this would fit nicely in the September model, where they could do morning one way and afternoon the other. But the concern is when they're in middle school, they have multiple teachers on multiple days. You'd never be able to say, miss your mornings to miss your afternoons and do this. So anyways, yeah, we'll chat about it at another time. I just think it's an amazing opportunity. I just can't get my head wrapped around how to present it to the school.
Yeah, Jennifer, you have great points there. And, the timetabling is always the challenge. As a school principal, I mean, the reading, the writing, the arithmetic, the social skills, I mean, all of those things are the important things, those foundational skills, just like Kyle was talking about foundational movement skills. These kids, we want to make sure that that's the bedrock for them as students, that they've got their foundational reading, writing, math skills in place, right? That's what's most important. And so it is a great opportunity. One other thing I want to add about this, why it would be good for kids to start early, is that when I'm working with student athletes in grade 10 who have developed less than favorable habits and routines, it's really hard to get them to change. When students can learn these time management, self-discipline, focus lessons and skills early, like in grade 8 and 9, wow, it just makes it's the world of difference, especially for boys. So that's been my experience.
Perfect. Rob,
Yeah, the only last thing I had there, Kyle, is there going to be like a paper? I know we're not supposed to use paper anymore, but is there going to be like a paper package available that we
yes,
could?
there will be one sent out after this presentation, so it should be sent out by tomorrow. You'll have a PDF for it.
Okay, so we can peruse it.
You can also check out, I'll put it in the chat. So speedmechanics.ca / Apex. So.
Okay.
One of the real benefits, I'm sorry to jump in again, but Kyle showed you the cohorts. So I'm thinking if it was my son that was there and he had the opportunity in Q4 to take the courses he was going to normally take at his regular school, if he could take them online and do them at Speed Mechanics and get his training done, he would then have half the rest of the day to work on skill development or do chores around the house or whatever it happened to be. But what we're trying to do is open up their schedules so that they're going to get all the great stuff that Kyle and crew are doing, plus the skill development component of their sport as well, maybe during the day, right? Rather than always at night.
I've got four other questions here in the chat. So one, what hours specifically would athletes be at Speed Mechanics? Depending on your cohort, if you're in the morning, we're looking at 8 to 11 a.m. If you're in the afternoon, we're looking at 12 to 3. This is going to be numbers dependent. So if we have enough to fill those 2 cohorts, great. If not, if we're just doing a single cohort, then we have some flexibility to play with that. So that's something that we can discuss and be flexible with in this initial phase 1 rollout in April for Q4. So that's kind of the idea that we're looking at. But again, we can be flexible there. So we'll see who's there. We have another one. This question might be towards you, Bill. So our kids go to a private Christian school with attractive tax deductions. Any potential for tax deductions on the fees?
There's no fees associated with the courses from NIDES.
Makes
And
sense.
yeah. So I don't see any there.
Right. Are there still tax credits or deductions from children playing sports from the provincial or federal level? Because that might be something that you could look into. I'm not exactly sure though. So that's a difficult one.
Yeah. Just students could take, for this next quarter, for example, they could still stay at that school, take one of their courses, come to Speed Mechanics, take a separate course. They could still do that.
Yeah, that's a good option. And then you keep your association with that school. What about the high school student in a semester system currently?
That would be interesting. So where I would want to find out is if they were looking at taking a course. So what you're saying is they've probably started their courses back in February in the second semester, and they've been taking those same courses. If they've been taking, let's use chemistry 11 or English 12 or whatever it happens to be, if they're like 3/4 of the way through their course already, I'm not going to recommend that they would replace it with an online course when they're that far through it. Some kids in high school, though, may have courses listed on their timetable, career life education, for example, right? Or career life connections. And they're supposed to have it finished by June, but they haven't barely started it right now. So if you're in a situation where you're well through into the course, I wouldn't make the change to do the online courses now. But if they're not all the way through, or if they're less than halfway through the course, I would say, man, let's look at it. Let's look at it seriously. Hope that answers the question.
And then we've got another one here. Can Bill speak about the hybrid model in middle school where students are just with one teacher?
Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm trying to understand it a little better. The hybrid model, or is that the cohort model? Um, so many different schools doing so many different things. Normally in middle school, you have a bunch of teachers. It sounds like this question is saying there's a model where the students only have one teacher. So Anthony, I'd really need to talk to you about that if you want to speak.
Yeah,
about
we just
that.
have one teacher that is in the facility currently, so he was asking about it as he wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So, is anybody else experiencing the hybrid model within or familiar with it as far as what their kids are doing in middle school? If not, not a problem. We might have them jump on here. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got S. Brandsma.
Hi. Yeah, I have a couple of questions. My son is in grade 11 right now, so I'm trying to wrap my head around how he would stay cross-enrolled so he could stay with his current team, and how that could still allow him to meet all his requirements for graduation with the academic courses that he needs. I wish, actually, we could have started this for him a couple of years ago. He absolutely would have been all over this. So I'm assuming in order to stay with his current team, he would definitely have to stay cross-enrolled so that the sports is still aligned with his team now.
What team is it? A school team you're talking about?
It's a school team, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's a school team. So yes, we want him to still. What he needs to do. So what would it look like now? Is he on the quarter system right now?
Quarter system, yeah.
So this could be a perfect opportunity to take whatever courses he's set up with in quarter 4 online. He could do that, and he would still be part of his home school. Because quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, he probably took 2 courses each of those quarters. So that's 6 courses out of 8. So 6 out of 8 means that his present school remains his school of record. So this would not interfere with his eligibility to play for that school team. Next year we look at it again, and he could take maybe some of his courses, as long as half or more of his courses are at his home school, he would stay enrolled in that school. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. A great time to try it in quarter 4.
Great question. And Jennifer.
So just a kind of a crazy out of the box question. What about, so my son is in grade 8, so in middle school. If I was to talk to the teachers about this and they were to agree and say, hey, yeah, send him to school in the morning, go there in the afternoon, we'll send the work. Would that pose a problem? Do they need to officially be enrolled in a class? And if so, could it be like an elective class somehow? So kind of 2 questions there. Like, could the teachers be supplying it because we're so close to the end of the year? You've got another.
They would be amazing teachers. They would be amazing teachers if they said that they would, and if you've got teachers that'll do that, I would certainly explore it. My experience has been that, especially this day and age, that now we don't do that. But hey, every teacher's different.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So to clarify Anthony's question from earlier, Tom, I believe you're on here somewhere. Probably under Anthony. Do you want to jump on and talk about the hybrid model?
Yeah. So the hybrid model I'm actually teaching it right now at Glanford Middle School. And I have 2 cohorts, one that comes Monday, Wednesday, and the second cohort comes Tuesday, Thursday. And one cohort is purely grade 8s, and the other cohort is a mix of grade 8s and 7s. So those folks in my class, they get me for all subjects, and there's no transferring around to different classrooms, and I even supply the teaching for the electives when it's available. I have quite a vast background, lots of experience, so I can offer those kinds of different courses to the kids, so they don't have to move. So as Bill did say, there's lots of hybrid models out there, but that's the model that we're using at Glanford Middle School.
That's a great model, and they're lucky to have you with the range of experience you've got. That's fabulous.
Thanks, Tom. Are there any other questions? Oh, we've got one more here. Could someone do an afternoon cohort, then do evening training, or would this model take away evening sessions for the participants? You wouldn't need the extra training on top of that. You'd be doubling up the strength training sessions. You can still do baseball specific sessions in the afternoon or evening if you wanted extra swings, but from the strength training perspective, just the one session for the day at this age is likely more than enough. Good question though. Anybody else? Have we answered everyone's questions?
It's Sheila. I have one more question.
Sure.
The digital communications, is that the equivalent of an English 11 class, or is it an elective?
Great question. It's neither.
Okay.
In order to graduate, every student from grade 10, 11, 12, and it needs to get 4 credits in something called Applied Designs, Skills, and Technologies. And that's just basically a group of courses. So you need 4. It could be woodwork, it could be metalwork, it could be art, it could be band, it could be digital communications. And so does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. The digital communications is the way to go for athletes, because we design a recruiting webpage with them.
Which is extremely important for the athletes, and coaches get so many resumes and things across their desk. If they can just Google you and you own your sort of Google real estate or web internet real estate, then coach is going to look at, they're going to Google, Timmy and look at his website and go, I have everything I need right here. So they're going to ask coaches and everything on top of that, but that's a great opportunity for athletes. I wish I had that when I was in high school.
Just to add to that, one of the things when I talk to university recruiters, they love it. Actually, they almost command it now, that they get hundreds, thousands of emails sent to them from prospective student athletes in high school, and the letters are coming from recruiting companies and so on. The coaches aren't impressed with that at all. What they want, and they said clearly, is they want to see the letters, the documents, the web pages, the videos, all coming from the kids, right? Rather than them just paying for somebody else to do it. So that's something that's really important.
Yeah, I love this class concept. One of the challenging conversations we're having is, given the COVID year, not having footage and photos.
Yes.
And even where they're able to do drills and skills, the parents can't get in there to even shoot anything. So
that's something that we can offer for the athletes, is to be able to film their training. We've got indoor turf facility as well as weight room facility. So we can get a lot of footage for the athlete doing different tests, different drills, different skills. What sport are they?
Basketball.
So we've got a number of basketball players in there, even though it is turf, it's concrete underlays. So you can easily do dribbling. We've got a few pro basketball players in there that are that have signed either in Europe and they're just waiting for their season to start, or we've got Chargers women's team and men's team in there. So there's plenty of people around to train or to, like, you know, demo or use as however you need.
Fantastic.
One point I just need to mention, Kyle was talking about those basic foundational movement skills. My son is finished his Major League Baseball career and is now a scouting director with the Milwaukee Brewers. And I asked him the other day, I said, Taylor, what is it when you see all those athletes out there? How do you tell? Like, you know, what are you looking for? And his answer was athleticism. And that's exactly the same thing that I heard from a soccer coach, and exactly the same thing that I heard from a basketball coach and a hockey coach. Athleticism, that ability to control your body in time and space. And given that they've got the skills in the sport as well, and they can at least work with those. But the work, Kyle, that you guys are doing with that, it's huge. And when we put together my son's resume years ago, what we listed on his resume was pros and experts that he had been working with. And there was a fellow that was a speed training guy that we went down to see in Seattle. And his name was well known and to university coaches. And we didn't know that, but we went and got specific expert training to develop the athletic part of my son. And when we sent out his resume, those university coaches picked that out and said, hey, this kid is paying attention to the essential stuff. And what Kyle's talking about in terms of those foundational movement skills, hugely important. Thanks.
That's great. Any final questions or thoughts, concerns?
If anybody has questions about the academic end and would like to just email me, please do, or send me a text, and we'll get your questions answered.
Yeah, so following up with this as well, we'll be sending out a brochure that just kind of summarizes all of this. We'll also make sure that this recording is available. So if you forget and there's a specific answer or question that you asked, you'll have access to this. But we'll send out that brochure likely tomorrow. And please feel free to share that. We would love your support to share that around with as many people as possible. Hopefully we've answered your questions, and if you have any further questions on the athletic side, please feel free to contact me. My information will be on that brochure on the back. We've also put Bill's on the back there as well. So if you didn't write it down here, his will be on that as well. So please feel free to reach out to either one of us. Again, we'll be starting up in Q4, which is April 19th after spring break. So we hope to see everyone there. Thanks very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your evening.